Greg hit it on the head there when he said, you see and hear all these predictions, and immediately in your head you go, I need somebody to help me with my money. Well, Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, talked about that as well. Interesting that he shares the very same view of financial advisors as Greg does.
So if your pipes in your house burst, you're probably going to do a lot better off calling a plumber to fix your pipes than trying to fix them yourself, right?
Right.
If you have an electric short, I suggest you call an electrician versus trying to go put on rubber gloves and not get electrocuted. You'll get a much better result with the expert in that too. That's true for almost all things in life, except Wall Street. It's the one exception to the otherwise pretty much steadfast rule about seeking out experts to help you get the best result. On Wall Street, they don't get you a better result than doing it yourself. They get you a worse result because of all the fees, the commissions, the performance bonuses, and also they can't outguess the market. The market is too hard to beat.
Have I read this in a book someplace before or heard it every week from somebody? I'm trying to think of the place. Greg,
I'm going to send Jordan my book. I think that's going to be my next move. I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little, you know, obviously it's a lot, but, you know, The Wolf of Wall Street, it's a great movie. You know, Jordan, you know, touches on something that gets overlooked. You know, we always talk about, you know, one of the most overlooked aspects of the financial industry are the fees. And it's not a coincidence. You know, the fees have been strategically structured in such a way, it's really hard to freaking find out what you're paying. You know, and whether it be mutual funds or variable annuities or even, you know, your AUM percentage, because it's buried on the back of a 82-page Fisher, you know, prospectus. Who knows what's going on, but they're breaking up the fees. But 1% based on what? What's the 1% applied to? 1.25%, 1.5%. You know, a lot of, you know, Edelman and Fisher and Eddie are charging north of 1.25. I mean, that's a huge chunk. I mean, perspective, $1 million IRA, that's, you know, $12,000 a year, $15,000 a year. And that's just the advisor fee. What Jordan was referring to is also if you have mutual funds, then you have 12B1 fees, and you could have A share, B share, C share. You could have also, you know, commissions that come off those fees. And that's when it really adds up. That could be another 1%. So if you're starting a race, Randy, and trying to beat the market, and you're starting 2% behind the starting line,
yeah,
it's just really hard to catch up, right? Like at the end of the day, it's just math, right? Like no one knows, you know, if someone could predict the future consistently with the market, they'd be the trillionaire, they'd rule the world unequivocally, right? Like if you could know where the market was going consistently, you'd rule the world. And clearly your guy or gal around the corner next to Dairy Queen in the mini mall doesn't know where the stock market is going. And because of that, we have to ask ourselves, what are we paying for? So then it becomes a true value question of, am I paying and receiving the value I would get elsewhere? And I think that's what's the wirehouses are struggling with. That's why they're getting louder. They're screaming about inflation. They're screaming about deflation. They just made that word up, by the way. And then they're screaming about stock crashes or stock, rent rises. And the reason they're doing this is because they don't want you to say the most important question is, what am I paying for? What am I paying for? And if you can't answer that question succinctly, then they probably don't know you.